Welcome back to Monitors Unboxed. It's time to update our 1440p monitor recommendations for the early parts of 2023. Last update was over on Hardware Unboxed in September of last year, and since then plenty of stuff has been happening. New OLED monitor options, price changes for some of our favorite choices, and even what appears to be some supply constraints, so we'll break down everything throughout this video. As with our previous best of videos, we tend to talk about and recommend monitors we've personally tested and know to be good, or monitors that are very similar to products we have tested. It's always worth going back and checking out the dedicated monitor reviews we produce for more in-depth thoughts on each product, but just so you know, these recommendations are not sponsored in any way by any company. They're based on our testing results and research. We've got 6 categories for you today, covering a variety of 1440p options and configurations, so I'm sure you'll be able to find something for you. So let's kick this one off with the best 1440p medium refresh rate displays. For budget gamers, the best category on the market remains the 1440p 120 to 180Hz-ish sort of zone, which we call the medium refresh rate category now that there are 360Hz 1440p displays. Typically, if you want to get into PC gaming for the first time, or you want to upgrade from an older 1080p display, it's this 1440p category that provides the best bang for buck and offers the most choices. In 2023, if you're after a 1440p 165Hz sort of monitor, you should be looking for something between $250 and $350 US, which is where most of the sensible options lie. There are still lots of these monitors priced above $350 US, but at those sorts of prices, we begin to encroach on higher refresh rate options. So right now, I strongly believe $350 is the absolute maximum you should be paying in 2023. Some of the options that I've previously recommended are out of stock and hard to find, such as the Gigabyte M27Q Pro / M27QP. That's still a great buy if you can find one for around $280 to $300 US or equivalent pricing in your region. Check our previous videos for more details, but as it's hard to find, I'll stick to recommending products that are readily available at the time of making this video. The best choice for budget 1440p shoppers right now is, surprisingly, an older product from LG, the 27GL83A. I've recommended various products from this family many times over the years, such as the 27GL850, 27GP850, and 27GP83B, but at just $250 US right now, the 27GL83A is a standout choice that offers excellent value for gamers. The GL83A variant is very similar to the 27GL850 we reviewed back in 2019. It's just that these days in 2023, it's half the price and lacks the wide color gamut support of that monitor. It's also less of a standout option in the market now than it was back then. We've seen many other monitors launch with similar hardware capabilities over the last few years, but at this price, now of just $250, it's a very competitive product that I'd recommend. The big strength of the 27GL83A is its speed and response times. This is a 27-inch 2560 by 1440 IPS display at a maximum refresh rate of 144Hz with VRR support. It typically offers a 5 to 6 millisecond response time experience with low overshoot, which leads to a clear and generally artifact-free experience while gaming. This sort of speed still holds up today. It's right up there among the better choices in the sub $350 category. The LCD panel used here has aged quite well. There's also low input lag, decent color performance, and wide viewing angles. The main downside to the GL83A and this family of LG IPS monitors is the contrast ratio, which is low and doesn't deliver very impressive blacks. This specific variant, as I said, also lacks a wide color gamut if that's something that you're interested in. But despite the contrast ratio, I definitely prefer this monitor over a VA LCD at this price point, as they all typically feature ugly dark level smearing and curved panels, which I dislike compared to flat panels at this sort of size. It's really hard to go past at just $250, that is a great price. A possible upgrade pick for buyers is the MSI G274 QPF-QD, which is readily available for $330 US. This is a very similar monitor to the Gigabyte M27Q Pro that's harder to find these days, except with a wide quantum dot enhanced color gamut. This offers a point of difference to the 27GL83A, If you need a wider color gamut for creative tasks, or you just like the extra saturation, this MSI provides that along with decent color modes for sRGB P3 and Adobe RGB. Its contrast ratio is also about 20% higher than the LG model, though its response time performance isn't quite as good, so it's balanced more towards color than speed. At $330 US, I think it's not as strong value as the 27GL83A. I'd like to see the price sit more in the $300 range or a bit below, but it does offer a few advantages if you're after it, so I think it's worth considering. The best premium 1440p 240Hz monitor on the market is also one of the overall best 1440p displays and perhaps a contender for best monitor, period. It's the Asus ROG Swift OLED PG27AQDM, which brings with it a 27-inch 2560x1440 WOLED panel at a 240Hz refresh rate. This is an excellent high-end display, offering elite speed for competitive gamers and stunning HDR visuals for single-player gamers in the one package. The main reason why you'd purchase an OLED like this is for its HDR performance though, and the Asus variant of this screen delivers with noticeably higher brightness compared to the LG equivalent, the 27GR95QE. We see up to 900 nits of brightness in HDR content, which when combined with the deep zero-level blacks of OLED, its resulting super high contrast ratio and per pixel local dimming, it leads to a stunning HDR experience that generally looks fantastic while gaming. It's also capable of 250 nits of brightness for SDR content, much higher than other WOLED monitors I've tested. With the high 240Hz refresh rate, the PG27AQDM is also capable of elite motion clarity. While gaming at 240Hz, it looks super clear and smooth thanks to lightning fast response times. A 240Hz OLED is roughly equivalent to a 360Hz LCD in clarity, and OLEDs are able to deliver the same response performance at all refresh rates, leading to an artifact-free experience even when gaming at, say, 100Hz. This gives this display a rare combination of motion clarity and visual quality that you don't get from other products. In fact, this is one of the few monitors that can deliver a top-tier experience in both HDR and motion in the same package. Other benefits from this OLED include excellent viewing angles, a great build quality with no obvious fan noise, a nice wide color gamut, and of course adaptive sync support. It is expensive at $1,000 US, but not overly expensive considering true HDR monitors with equivalent performance just a few years ago were like $2,000 plus, and current pricing for flagship HDR monitors is in the $1,000 to $1,500 range. The main issue with getting an OLED like this is desktop app usage. The PG27AQDM is not well suited to productivity work or desktop apps due to its non-standard subpixel layout, which causes text rendering issues, as well as its risk of permanent burn-in while viewing static content. Neither of these drawbacks are of any concern while gaming or watching videos, but right now OLED isn't well suited to desktop tasks, so if you are planning on doing a lot of that, I'd probably grab something else. If I had to make a list of my favorite monitors I've reviewed this year so far, I'd probably have this one right near the top of the list. It's great, highly recommend it, and I think premium monitor buyers will really enjoy what it has to offer. Naturally, a lot of people might be interested in a 240Hz 1440p gaming monitor that don't want to spend $1,000 to get the Asus OLED model. That's where our budget choice for these specifications comes in, but there is some unfortunate news here that makes it much more difficult to recommend a product in this category compared to our update about 6 months ago. Last time, we recommended the Gigabyte M27QX, which is an excellent 27-inch 1440p 240Hz IPS gaming monitor priced around $400 US. I have seen pricing creep up to around $430 US, but that's still an excellent price for this sort of display. It's one of the cheapest and best value ways to access 240Hz at a decent resolution. It's much more affordable than many other similar options that deliver roughly the same performance. But the M27QX and many similar models are quite difficult to find in stock right now. The small amount of stock remaining is highly overpriced, and we haven't seen them available at around $400 since March. Hopefully, this is just a short-term availability issue and the M27QX will be restocked because it's an excellent product that I'd highly recommend. Even without a good 1440p 240Hz LCD priced below $450, it's hard to recommend any of the typically $600 or more options. If you can't get the M27QX, I'd just be waiting until it comes back in stock, or I'd grab something in a different category. Right now, I think $600 is far too much to spend on a 1440p monitor with these specifications when we've had products hit $400. And like I said, those more expensive options rarely offer anything substantially superior to the M27QX, which is quite a well-balanced product. Good response times, good color quality, nothing that will blow you away, but also no major flaws. Provided that, in the future, the M27QX becomes available again, here's what you are getting. It offers a fast response time experience on par with today's good quality IPS LCD panels. When you combine response speed with a high refresh rate, you get great motion clarity, making this monitor highly suitable to competitive multiplayer gaming, but with the versatility of a decent resolution for other types of games as well. The only downside here being the lack of a single overdrive mode experience, which its much more expensive competitors can offer depending on the model. Gigabyte are also providing good color quality, including a nice wide color gamut, decent uniformity, great viewing angles, and a respectable job of factory calibration as far as gaming monitors go. I always like when a monitor delivers a good balance of performance across all categories, and that's pretty much exactly what the M27QX provides. There are no significant downsides here, rather a collection of performance trade-offs that often see the M27QX come in second or third place in any given test. But at the typical $400 to $450 US asking price, that's totally reasonable, and it's rarely worth spending more to get a different product. It's a great buy, so fingers crossed it returns to the market soon. If you're after the ultimate high-performance 1440p gaming monitor for competitive multiplayer, that's the Asus ROG Swift PG27AQN. It's currently the only 1440p 360Hz display on the market, packing a 27-inch IPS panel with some of the fastest response times I've ever measured on an LCD. It's a high-end option, coming in at $1,050 US, so it's very much something for hardcore esports gamers, but it does deliver impressive performance. The main advantages to getting a 360Hz display like this are in motion clarity and input lag. When gaming at 360Hz, you'll get the clearest experience of any 1440p monitor, just slightly edging out the 240Hz OLED I talked about earlier. This level of clarity and smoothness makes it easier to spot and target enemies without sacrificing on resolution. Previously, to access this refresh rate, you'd have needed a 1080p display, which isn't the best these days. With the PG27AQN, you get a higher 1440p resolution, delivering a sharper image and additional versatility, as this is also a great monitor for single-player games thanks to its pixel density and excellent IPS color quality. 360Hz also brings with it lower input latency. This is a very responsive display, the fastest that I've experienced at 1440p. It has adaptive sync support with great performance, especially above 100Hz. And Asus has delivered outstanding color calibration, which is often not the case with other competitive-focused gaming monitors. This again strengthens the versatility of this display and its usability for all types of gaming. The only major downsides to the AQN, aside from its high price tag, are the lack of proper HDR support and lack of backlight strobing. This is very much a product focused towards competitive gamers. I suspect people who are more primarily interested in a single-player experience will be better off with the Asus 240Hz OLED at a similar price. Not having backlight strobing is therefore a bit of an unusual omission, with the very best 1080p strobe displays able to outperform this 360Hz unit in terms of clarity. But at 360Hz, I still think this monitor is well above average in motion performance, and currently there are no 1440p options that offer this refresh rate with strobing, so I still think it is worth buying. In the categories I've been discussing so far, the focus has largely been on 27-inch 1440p monitors, which is where the best products are today. But for some people, like our very own Steve from Hardware Unboxed, 27 inches is just too small, and that's where 32-inch formats come into play. Right now, the Gigabyte M32Q continues to be a standout option for 32-inch 1440p buyers, offering that panel size with a 170Hz refresh rate and IPS technology for $400 US. There are no areas of standout class-leading performance to the M32Q, but there's also no huge weak points, which leaves the Gigabyte option as a really well-balanced product. At this sort of price point, I don't think you necessarily need the outright fastest panel or the widest color gamut, just something that is capable in all areas. But even with that said, the M32Q still performs very well. Motion performance is in line with most modern IPS gaming panels, especially when looking at cumulative deviation, which gives us that idea of a balance between response times and overshoot. Its 170Hz refresh rate is decent, low input lag of course, and Gigabyte complements this with a backlight strobing feature that works in conjunction with adaptive sync. And then for color performance, we're getting all the usual benefits of IPS. A flat panel with excellent viewing angles, a wide but not that wide gamut, and in this case, an above average for IPS contrast ratio. I wouldn't necessarily describe this as an ideal monitor for content creation, but it has a level of versatility that's well suited for playing games and watching videos. Also worth considering is the MSI Optics MPG 321 QRF-QD, which I've seen on sale recently for as low as $380 US. While I haven't tested this display, the 321 QRF uses a better panel featuring quantum dot technology, leading to a wider color gamut. If that's something you need, especially for creative work, the MSI alternative might be worth exploring, especially at this sort of price. I've seen this sort of panel previously and been pretty impressed with the performance in other areas like response times, so I suspect it'd be a good buy. But again, I haven't tested it as extensively as the M32Q, so it's a bit harder to recommend. In the best 1440p HDR category, there's really only one standout choice. Once again, it's the Asus ROG Swift OLED PG27AQDM. So if you missed the premium 1440p 240Hz category, if you skip to this section specifically to get my HDR recommendations, go back, check out that section as it covers everything you need to know about this Asus champion. In this sort of category specifically though, there aren't a ton of other suitable HDR choices. There is the LG 27GI95QE, which is the LG version of this Asus model, but with much lower brightness at a similar price point, it's hard to recommend. I've also tested the Cooler Master GP27Q, which is a 27-inch 1440p 165Hz LCD with 576 zone local dimming and true HDR support. It's a lot cheaper than the Asus model, but has deal-breaker issues with flickering that make it hard to recommend. So for HDR gamers, again, the PG27AQDM is where it's at right now. You just can't go past this OLED in the current market. And that does it for today's monitor recommendation video. Lots and lots of options to choose from, covering most of the 1440p categories I hope you are considering at the moment. If you do want to learn more about the monitors we've talked about today, we do have dedicated reviews for most of them that will go into the specifics around performance and features, which are well worth watching. I also have breakdowns for other monitor types on this channel, as well as a general buying guide for gaming monitors as a whole if you're interested. So again, lots of great advice here on Monitors Unboxed. So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you are interested in supporting our independent testing and all the reviews that we do that go into making these sorts of breakdowns, then please do consider supporting us on Patreon or Floatplane. Links to those are in the description below. As well as just supporting the channel, you gain access to some things like our Discord community where you can chat about monitors, get advice, all that sort of thing. You also get access to the ICC software profiles that we generate throughout our review process. And we have other cool content like BTS videos and so on. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe to Monitors Unboxed and I'll catch you in the next one.